What's up guys, this is Z-House, and today I'm bringing you a review of a relatively new product, and that is actually a holster, the Blackhawk Omnivore holster. So if you've never heard of the Blackhawk Omnivore, so Blackhawk is the company that makes the Serpa, pretty famous holster, a lot of people know about it, a lot of people don't like it, a lot of people do like it, everyone's got their own opinion. So the Omnivore is their latest hard shell holster offering, and the name comes from the fact that the Blackhawk Omnivore is actually molded around either an adapter that goes onto the railed frame of a handgun or one of the railed frame mounted handgun lights. If I recall correctly right now, there's the TLR1 model, which also accepts the TLR2, and there's the Surefire X300 model. So you have a couple of options that for a holster that will fit onto that handgun light and fit a wide variety of handguns that light is mounted to. I believe Blackhawk advertises that there's over 150 different handguns that will all work with the Blackhawk Omnivore. So the idea behind this then is to be a kind of, not 100% universal, it won't fit everything, but it'll fit the vast majority of your full frame or compact, not really subcompact or your magnum frame or anything, handguns, as long as they have either the rail adapter on there or one of the pistol lights that the holster is molded for. So how the Omnivore works is it takes standard Serpa type hardware. So if you have a molly mount for your Serpa, it'll fit on that. Drop leg, it'll fit on that. I have the belt slide on here that it came with. It also came with a paddle. I prefer the belt slide, so that's what I'm using, but it will fit with standard Serpa and compatible hardware. That will all work. And the Omnivore, as I said, it locks onto the handgun light, and then you press this button or lever or whatever you want to call it. You press that down as you draw out the handgun. And when you draw out the handgun, obviously it's been released from the lock when you are holding that down, and you can draw out the handgun. And when it's in there, it's relatively secure with not much in the way of movement, really. You can actually tighten a tensioning screw on the back here and adjust the holster a little bit for how tightly it clamps onto the light and for making a little more room for maybe a wider framed handgun. And when you have that set just about right, you really don't get much in the way of movement or rattle. Maybe if you really played with it, you could totally eliminate even just this little bit, but it's retained in there. It's not going anywhere. It's a physical lock, again, like the Serpa, but it's thumb activated instead of trigger finger activated, which I greatly prefer. Because trigger finger activation for me has always been a little awkward, and then of course there's the famous incidents of people shooting themselves accidentally with Serpas. Now, with the thumb activation, that's not an issue, so you're going to have an easier time. And frankly, just with that big pad there and with my thumbs, just pressing on that while drawing out, it's very natural movement and it makes a lot of sense. Now, the holster, when it comes out of the box, does include two different levels of these steps that go onto this, that go onto the release. So there's another one that's like maybe half as tall as this, or you could just run it with no step on there. I like having the tallest step because that makes it easiest for me to press that button. And I got pretty big hands, so I can't really imagine a situation where you would want the smaller step release. Maybe if for some reason it's a snag hazard or something like that. In general, for easiest operation, I would recommend the highest release step. I think that works the best. The holster is, of course, made entirely of polymer. It's got a kind of rubber coating or inlay on it on the outside. I guess maybe that's to help with impact absorption. I mean, whatever, it does. The holster seems durable enough. I've used it a few times, and it will generally get the job done. And I see no reason to question its durability. I mean, compared to any other plastic holster or anything like the Serpa, it seems just about on par. So yes, this will fit a wide variety of handguns. I have tried M&P models, Glock models, 1911 models, this double stack type 1911 or high kappa. I've tried an FNX, I've tried the CZ models, and the CZ models are kind of weird. Some of them have a really wide frame, and that makes it super awkward. You have to really let out this tensioning screw, but you can make it work. M&Ps fit. You can make a lot of handguns fit, just as long as you have, like I said, that adapter or that light that goes into the proper holster. One weird thing that I do want to mention with this is I found with a couple of handguns here and there, every now and then, depending on the frame or the way you have it tensioned, you might get a slight hang up or snag if you aren't smooth with your draw motion. So you really need to make sure that you are keeping this release depressed the whole time you're drawing the handgun out. Because if you don't do that, then what you're going to run into is an issue where the handgun is going to like get caught and half snagged, and then when you're trying to pull it out, it becomes harder to press the release because you're holding that release under tension. So internally, you're actually jamming it up. So on your draw stroke, you kind of want to push down, release, and then push out with your thumb as you're drawing the handgun, because that's going to ensure that you keep that release depressed the entire time while the handgun is clearing the retention. And that's kind of a disadvantage when you compare it to something like a G-code holster, where you just press the button and the little cover flips off and now the handgun moves in and out freely. You don't have that option with this. You really have to make sure you keep that depressed the whole time, and that retention, you can't really turn it off. So you're stuck with the thumb retention, and that's just the way it works. It's that locked in type of thumb retention that requires the continuous release as you pull the handgun. Is it a big deal? I found it to be very natural. It doesn't really get in my way, but it is something to bring up just in case it's a preference of yours. Another thing to bring up about this holster though is it is big. I mean, this is a full frame handgun and it is clearing all around it. There's no physical contact really with the handgun itself. It's pretty much all with the light, maybe a little bit with the trigger guard and the frame. But you've got a big hunk of holster on your hip when you're carrying this thing. This is not a concealment holster. This is a full-size duty holster. Again, is that a problem? For my uses, not at all, but something to bring up. Overall though, would I recommend the Blackhawk Omnivore? Well, if you have a variety of handguns and you're kind of sick of buying new holsters for every single one, if you're just looking for a range holster or a duty holster, this is a great option because it does fit that wide variety of handguns as long as they have that same light. And it will hold a lot of them. And that's the nice part, because this holster only costs about $45 to $50. And I think I've seen them as high as $60, but I've seen them as low as $45. And for that amount of money, you're getting a pretty durable holster. It's compatible with a lot of hardware on the market, and it holds a wide variety of handguns. So you're really saving on buying new range or duty holsters for every single one. Now, again, would I use this for concealed carry? Heck no, it's huge. But if you are looking for a range or duty type holster or something that you're just not worried about having any concealment on there, this works great, holds everything, it's fantastic. So yeah, overall, Blackhawk Omnivore, it's a win for me. It does what I need it to do, carries everything I need it to carry, so as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much perfect. The only way I would really change it is to make that somehow a press once and then free movement, but it's really not that big a deal. Again, as long as you practice with it, you know what you're getting into, and it's really very easy. And unlike the Serpa mechanism, it's not awkward using your trigger finger and, potentially recording a video of you shooting yourself. Anyways, this is eHouse with Gun Gamers with my opinion on the Blackhawk Omnivore holster. Maybe you'd never heard of this holster and now you're thinking, hey, that would be perfect for what I need. Or maybe you were looking at this, and in that case, I hope you found this video helpful. So once again, I'm eHouse with Gun Gamers, signing off.